My wife refused to stay and support me after my surgery, then laughed when I mentioned divorce. So I handed her the divorce papers she thought I'd never follow through with. Now she's shocked. I am now divorced, and all of this happened about a year ago. I, 35 male, told my now ex-wife, 35 female, I would divorce her if she moved out, and she thought I was bluffing. For backstory leading up to this, I was with her for a total of 14 years, married for 12 of them. I am not saying our relationship was perfect. As in any other relationship, there were hardships. There was never any cheating up to this point, or at least I hope, just normal life situations. But I always thought we would deal with them together. Back in September 2022, I was involved in a high-speed accident with a garbage truck. I fortunately wasn't severely injured from it, but I have been struggling with severe back pain to the point where it prevents me from working ever since. I did try to return to work. I am an HVAC tech, 3 months later, and it didn't go well. My doctor took me off work, and thus began a very lengthy journey of trying to find a treatment plan that would help me get back to work. Then, in May 2023, I needed emergency surgery when my appendix ruptured. I woke her up to take me to the hospital, and she gave me some attitude about it. She then decided to fix her hair and makeup before we left, and she also refused to drive. So, I drove myself to the hospital with her in the passenger seat. After the surgery, the hospital wanted to keep me overnight for observation because they found an infection around my appendix. I asked her if she could stay with me at the hospital and if she could take a few days off to help me with anything I might need. She refused, but at the time, I didn't really think too much about it because I was too focused on everything that was going on. Fast forward to June, she made a joke, or so I thought, about how she had back pay and now she could leave. So I jokingly said back, "Don't let the door hit you on the way out." She snapped at me and said how she feels trapped and very stressed out. I acknowledged that she has the right to feel that way because of me being unable to work. Also, to note, I applied for financial help for mortgage and utilities so she was able to pay all bills after 2 weeks of pay. She then told me she would spend the night with a friend from work to talk about her feelings, and I said, "Go ahead if it will help us get past this." Then she told me she was supposed to go out for dinner for her birthday with a girl from work, and she refused to spend it with me. The next day, I found out it was actually a guy she was supposed to have dinner with. We had a bad argument, and I went to my mom's to cool off and try to figure things out. After a few hours, I went to get some clothes and go to a friend's house to clear my head and have some space. When she saw me do this, she went off on me and accused me of giving up on the marriage. We argued back and forth, but after a few days, I decided 14 years was too much time to let something like this end the marriage. We decided to try and work on us for at least 6 months before making a decision. Only 4 weeks later, I found out she had been looking for apartments the whole time. She then told me that her having her space could save us. I told her I didn't understand how a year-long lease would save anything and asked how she expected me to pay bills since I am unable to work. I told her if she moves out, I will file for divorce. She found an apartment she liked, applied for it, and was approved. At this time, the apartment wouldn't be ready for 2 weeks. During this, I did something I am not proud of. I just felt uneasy about everything that was happening, and I suspected that she was hiding something about why she wanted to move out. So yes, I went through her Apple Watch while she was at work. I ended up finding out that she had been talking to some guy for at least 4 to 5 months. I found a text she had sent to him saying she wanted him bad and asked when and where they could hook up. When I confronted her about this, she claimed it was a joke. But when I said that's messed up, she then said, because I wasn't giving her any, she had to get it from somewhere. She would turn me down every time I tried to initiate anything with her for the last 4 to 5 months. In August 2023, she moved into her apartment. 2 weeks later, I told her that I was filing for divorce, and she thought I was bluffing about it. Fortunately, with us not having any children, the divorce was very quick and was finalized in December 2023. There was a lot more gaslighting and other crazy stuff that happened. I wanted to tell my story and just say that no matter what you're going through, if someone is mistreating or taking advantage of you, don't be afraid to leave. No one deserves to be walked all over. I am willing to give an update on how I am doing now if anyone is interested. Edit. So I now understand that the more details, the better. I was trying to avoid writing a small novel, but leaving details might seem shady sometimes. I would try to help out around the house as much as I could. I was able to do all the cooking and was able to sometimes do the laundry. I also would pack her lunch from any leftovers from dinner for the next day. I am in no way saying my ex is a horrible, heartless person, just someone who made some horrible decisions and possibly listened to advice from the wrong people. The 2 weeks leading up to her moving out, we had a lot of fights, and I was being referred to as a broken person because of my injuries and pain. I did help her move out, mainly because she had no one else, and I felt that it could give me some sort of closure moving her belongings out. The next few months involved getting the paperwork for the divorce dissolution, with no children, properly filed out. The agreement was, she keeps what's hers, and I keep what's mine. In October 2023, she ended up in a car accident that totaled her car. She seemed to be okay. She didn't go to the hospital. She asked to borrow my car for work, but I declined. Then she said I needed to take her back and forth to work. I also said no to this. I told her I wouldn't be able to because of conflicting schedules with my physical therapy and doctor visits. She said, that's not her problem. So I got upset by that and told her she isn't my problem anymore. There wasn't much communication after that until I saw her the day of the divorce, which was in December. There has been little communication since, just mainly trying to get her to change her address. Now, I just send her mail back to sender. As far as me and her go, there's nothing else to say. We don't talk or see each other at all. Now, for people wondering how I'm doing now physically, I have been getting better slowly. I just had a procedure that numbed the nerves in my lower back to help manage the pain. Hopefully, this will help me get back to somewhat normal activities or life. I am in a new relationship. When the new year started, I thought I would try and go on a few dates to see how things felt and also just get out of the house. Nothing too special at first, no one-night stands, as I'm just not interested in those. Obviously, most of them wanted someone who was in a better situation, and I understand that, and there's nothing wrong with it. It was weird to date again because it's been so long, but I did feel like I found a connection with someone. I would be okay with a new relationship, but after a few first dates, I decided I would just focus on my recovery and other things before getting too serious. However, after a few dates, my last date I was going to go on ended up being the one where I met a woman who was very accepting of everything I went through and was going through. I enjoyed her company and hung out with her quite a bit over the next couple of weeks. I was completely honest with her about everything, and she found it refreshing. She said that's what attracted her to me in the first place. We have been seeing each other since late January. I knew it might have been too soon to date again, but I am happy and very hopeful for what the future might be. I am definitely more aware of things I need to be concerned about, and I'm very persistent about being honest and open with her about everything. She is doing the same with me. I am sorry if I have written too much, but I'm trying to give as many details as I can. Update. So first off, I want to say I love the content and I have listened to almost every episode. I also want to give a shout out to Sam and the Ottoman Empire. I have been divorced for almost a year now, and I thought I would share my story. To keep this somewhat short, I will be leaving a lot of details out, but I am willing to answer any questions that anyone has. 2 years ago, I was involved in a severe car accident where a garbage truck pulled out in front of me. I did not have any time to respond and hit it going 55 miles per hour. I am still going through recovery and have been through multiple procedures to try and help get the pain under control so that I return back to work. I also had my appendix rupture and had to have emergency surgery in May of 2023. Looking back, I can now see that she was being extremely distant from me, but at the time, I didn't notice because I was more focused on my recovery and physical therapy to try and get back to work. After I had my appendectomy done, she became very distant and was very secretive with her phone. A few months later, she finally told me that she was feeling overwhelmed and stressed out about the situation I was dealing with and said that she wanted to go stay at a friend's house to talk with her about her feelings and clear her head. Well, 2 days later, it was her birthday, and I found out that she had made plans to go to dinner with some guy from work. She didn't end up going because he did not respond to her text messages. We had an argument, and at the time, I was willing to move on from it because we had been together for 14 years, married for 12. Just a few weeks later, I found out she was looking for an apartment, and I told her if she moved out, the marriage was over, and I would ask for a divorce. The next day, she came home and told me she had just gone and looked at an apartment, signed the papers that day, and was waiting on the approval of the background check and employment verification. The next day, I found out that she had been texting another guy for about 4 months and also found out that she told him she wanted him and wanted to know when and where to meet up. When I confronted her about it, she said she was joking and that nothing happened. She ended up moving out in August 2023, and 2 weeks later, I showed up at her apartment with divorce papers. She was very shocked and very emotional and told me that she didn't think I was being serious when I told her I would ask for a divorce. I ended up filing for a dissolution, and since we didn't have any children, it was a lot cheaper, and the process could be done a lot quicker. The divorce was finalized in December 2023. This past year has been a struggle with trying to earn money to pay bills and trying to stay positive with my recovery. There were a lot of details I left out to try and keep this as short as possible, so I am willing to answer any questions that anyone has about what I went through or how I am doing now. Edit. After replying to everyone's comments, I felt like I should give some more information on the details of what was happening during this time. Like I mentioned in the story, I was unable to work due to the pain, doctor visits, physical therapy, and the few medical procedures that I was going through. Though I was unable to work, I still tried to help out as much as I could around the house with cleaning, taking care of the dogs, and I would do all of the cooking since cooking really didn't cause any additional pain. When I had my appendectomy done, they had to keep me overnight for observation because they found an abscess of an infection. I asked her to stay overnight with me at the hospital and then take the next day off to help me get home when I was discharged, and she refused. So, I don't know if you would call this passive aggressiveness from my ex, but the things that she would do would tell me about how guys at work were complimenting her, telling her that she was attractive and how she smelled really good. At one point, she had bought perfume to make herself more attractive to men, and she told me she wore it to feel better around me. But the day after it was delivered, she came home complaining that none of the guys at work complimented her on her new perfume. The reason why she said that she was going to go out to dinner with someone else was because, since I wasn't working, I wasn't able to treat her to a birthday dinner. Now, the things that she would do after she moved out and during the divorce process, I'm pretty sure she thought that she was making me jealous. But she would brag to me about certain dates that she would go on with other guys from work. I would tell her that the best thing moving forward, since we're going through a divorce, is to keep our personal lives to ourselves and just discuss what needs to be done for the divorce. But she kept going on and telling me about certain dates that she went on. Now, the things that I did when she was moving out, I only did for myself so I could have closure and could feel good about myself that I took the high road in the separation. So, I sold my season ticket licensing to the NFL team that I supported, and with that money, I helped her move out by paying her deposit and any furniture she needed. I only really did that because a portion of the season tickets was paid by her money, and I didn't want her to try and claim that I was taking money from her. I also did help her move out, but that was only because I wanted to try and make sure she didn't take anything that wasn't hers. I know some people will call me stupid or that I was too nice, but I felt it was something I needed to do. Update. So, to answer some of the questions that you guys asked, yes, she was talking to multiple guys during the time that this was happening. She only went to a dinner for one night. Then, for her birthday dinner, she originally told me she was going with a girl from work. As you know, she didn't go, and the next day she asked me to put on a new screen protector. Because I had an uneasy feeling, I looked at her texts and saw that she lied about who she was going out to dinner with. Now, the other guy she was talking to for 4 months, I did the same thing. I was very confused about why she was moving out and told myself it had to be because she met someone. I went through her phone again, and that's when I found out about this guy. Now, I am not someone who has ever gone through her phone before because I did have trust in her. I also wasn't completely devastated because my decision to divorce her when she decided to move out had already happened. But it did make me look back, and the signs were so obvious I can't believe I didn't see them. Like when I had my emergency surgery, I asked her to stay overnight with me and if she could take a few days off work to help me get home and around the house since I would be in a lot of pain, and she refused to do both. That was at the same time when she started talking to the other guy. When I told her I wanted a divorce, she accused me of giving up on us and said I needed to suck it up and get over everything that had happened. I also texted the guy after all this happened and told him I knew, and pretty much said he could have her. Now, from what I heard from her, after that, he stopped talking to her and started giving another girl attention. Now, what happened after she moved? Well, about a month later, she was in a hit and run that resulted in her car getting totaled. While she was waiting to get another car, she asked me if she could borrow my car or if I could take her back and forth to work. I told her no, I needed my car, and I wasn't getting up early in the morning to take her to work. She told me, that's not my problem, and I responded with, you aren't my problem anymore, and told her she needed to leave. She also would brag to me a few times about dates that she would go on, and I definitely think she was trying to make me jealous. But honestly, at this point, I didn't care what she was doing. When it was getting close to the court date, I told her I would pick her up, only because I didn't want anything to go wrong and have the divorce be delayed. On the day of the court date, I did pick her up, and the divorce was finalized with no problems. Now, for a little bit of karma, I found out through a mutual friend that she had moved in with this guy she started dating a few weeks after moving out. But just recently, she had to kick him out because she found out he was cheating on her and seemed to just be using her for her car. Now, for me, I have been hanging in there but am still having medical procedures waiting to be approved by the insurance. I am also in a new relationship, and it has been going amazing so far. I have been upfront with everything with her from the very beginning, So there were no surprises. I have made it a point to be very open with her, and I can say without a doubt that my failed marriage and my new relationship are completely separate from each other. However, I am open with her on any questions she has about it. I also wanted to thank the comfort level community. Everyone is awesome, and the support is amazing. Edit. I also felt like I should give a little bit of insight into what it was like before the accident. Before the accident, I was the one working more and paying the majority of the bills. Now, about 5 or 6 years ago, she went through a really bad depression when she found out her parents were doing substances, and her mom had to be rushed to the hospital because she had a stroke and possibly a heart attack too. During that time, she pretty much completely shut down on me, but I stood by her and gave her the support she needed to try and pull through this. After the accident, it was the first time she was the primary person paying the bills and was the person who needed to support the other person who was going through something traumatic. Now, just because I was recovering from the accident doesn't mean that she was going to work and then doing all the household chores at home. I would do as much cleaning as I could, and I was able to do pretty much all the cooking. Since we don't have any kids, there wasn't the added responsibility and stress from any childcare. Story 2. I come from poverty. It is what it is. I had a very rich childhood in all the ways except financially. Christmas was saved for year-round, and we got one thing to wear, one book, and one fun thing. My husband comes from a family that grosses $300,000 a year, and Christmas was always a massive show-off. Each kid had $2,000+ under the tree, easy. My husband and I started dating 5 years ago and have been married for 2.5 years. We've clawed our way up in life. He was not given financial help as an adult, and this year is the first time we can spend some decent money on Christmas. He has been wanting a guitar for some time. He has never played and has expressed interest so many times, but we couldn't do it financially. I did lots of research, and from what I saw, beginner guitars were $150-ish and went from there up to $5,000 plus for really nice ones. I agonized over what I was going to choose and ended up telling him to cut the budget for me so that I could surprise him with a really nice gift. So, I thought my original budget was $500, but I really wanted to go big or go home. It ended up being around $900 Canadian dollars, plus $200 for accessories or so. Being able to spend that amount is just unfathomable for a former poor kid, but I did it because he deserves it. We finally have the means, and I was beyond excited to see his face light up Christmas morning. Christmas morning comes, and the tree gifts wait until his family arrives. I am basically giddy at this point with excitement. Our turn comes for couple gifts, and I bring the guitar case out from its hiding place. He's so excited and opens the case, revealing the guitar and then, "Oh, thanks babe, never heard of this brand." Not the overwhelming joy I was hoping for, but it's not about me, right? His brother says, "It's nice, a decent cheapy one to start out with." His dad chimes in, having played in his 20s, and says it's known for its lower-end models and they'd be happy to chip in for a nice one next year if he sticks with it. I have never felt such a punch to the gut. I assume I'm overthinking, as per usual, but I am still so devastated from this 10 seconds of today, and I can't even really verbalize why. It felt like I was 9 years old again, trying to be excited about my new Aeropostale hoodie with my friend that got a MacBook and a Disney trip for Christmas. I think those comments affected how my husband viewed it too because he hasn't touched it since, despite wanting it so badly for years. I guess I'm just venting. I feel so small, and I just had to get it out. Some relevant comments. I'm wondering if maybe your husband had a specific brand of guitar in mind that he wanted, and that's why he reacted that way. Not sure if that'll help you feel better, but that was my first thought. I don't think he did. He's usually pretty forward with things and has never mentioned a specific brand. He's not super knowledgeable about any of it. My dad said the brand is a common enough brand. I know his brother does have a Les Paul though, so by comparison, it definitely pales if he is only familiar with the very high-end names. What brand did you get? It's a Guild 250. The person I spoke to at the music shop in Canada said it was a very good choice. He talked me out of the 2 other options and reassured me of the quality and longevity. I was actually quite shocked he didn't know the brand, even as a non-musician. Do you know the preceding letter for the 250E model? Guild has an interesting history of ownership, having once been owned by Fender and now owned by Yamaha. They make some very good guitars across a wide price range. You got him a nice guitar, OP. Sorry, yes, it's an F250 Blonde Jumbo. Not sure if that makes a difference, considering Guild has the F55 that retails at $4,600 US. Their family saying it's a cheaper guitar brand is extra rich. You got the right guitar. It's a nice price range from a trusted brand. The family is trash. Your husband probably is not sure what guitar he wants. I'd take him to the music store and have him try out some models. Worst comes to worst, you keep the guild. How does he normally handle the class difference in your relationship? He honestly never mentions it. It hasn't been a huge hurdle. We did struggle to meet in the middle when it came to what is essential versus just wants. Both of us had a skewed idea of that, but I think he had to rough it enough at 21 to 26 to be based in reality 90% of the time. Christmas just seems to be the exception. Sounds like you're actually devastated about your husband's reaction to the gift, not his family's reaction. I think you're right. I was expecting him to be so excited, and then it just didn't really happen like that in the end. This guitar had been a passing conversation for years. My little sister was also very excited and helped me pick it out, so I think I also felt crushed for her too. You cut the budget from your own present, and he agreed? Jesus, that's brutal. You need to think long and hard about potential children being exposed to this toxic materialistic mentality, regardless of income. Those comments were disgusting, but they seem set in their ways. I still think he spent way over budget on me, so I don't know if he actually agreed. I'll give him that. He knows I stress about money endlessly, so I'm assuming he just agreed to make me feel better about wanting to spend more. What did he get for her presents? He honestly did. He was very thoughtful. He got me a purse I've been wanting for a hot minute and quite a few other things that he took note of over the past few months. He definitely went over the new budget. Not the same price, but I really and truly am not a gift person, so the thought is 100 times more important to me. Just an assumption, but even when he had to rough it, he did always have his family to fall back on, as in, he wouldn't be homeless or anything. That gives a very different mentality to someone who does have to genuinely fear homelessness. In honesty, I think spending your childhood and many teen years in financial comfort is going to have a much larger effect on someone's values than a few years of scrimping and saving as a young adult. Yeah, I suppose our idea of roughing it definitely differed. There has always been the safety net. He was pretty good about not using it and holding his own, but it was definitely still there. OP expands. He got a taste of normal life because they didn't give him money to start out. He had to get his crappy minimum wage job like the rest of us, save, and work up from there. Our collision of worlds has actually been good because he reminds me I deserve new jeans when mine have holes, and I remind him that he doesn't need a new pair of jeans every week. So, it's only really when we're with them that he reverts back to this. I can't help but mention, I came from a household whose parents grossed a bit more than you mentioned, and Christmas was never $2,000 plus per child. That level of gift giving sounds excessive for reasons beyond income. What you got would have been a special gift by my or my family's understanding. It's completely infuriating to watch. The first year actually made me so mad to remember my parents scraping dimes together just to get me a book, and then to watch two grown men completely surrounded by their new consoles and an entire new wardrobe, so many things. I cried, wondering what I'd gotten myself into. His mom went so overboard on me as well, and I can't even explain the guilt I felt. Will he stand up for you in disagreements with his family, about where to live, how you raise your children, against side remarks from family members? If he doesn't have your back now, he never will. Yes, in other ways, he definitely does. His parents disagree with many things we're doing with our daughter, namely getting 99% of things secondhand, aside from the car seat and mattress, and letting her get dirty, the horror. He is usually quick to tell them, "My kid, my rules." This was not typical behavior, which made it sting a little bit more, I think. Update. I spoke with him this morning, trying to be very calm. I'm not confrontational by nature, so I put my anger aside and went into it with patience and grace. I asked if he was upset about the guitar, either the brand choice, the appearance, or something else. I told him my feelings were hurt when his family made comments, even if unintentionally, that made it seem like I chose a child starter instrument or something. I explained that I'd put a lot of thought and research into the build, the color, everything, to make sure his first experience with a guitar was very positive. He was shocked to hear that I'd been thinking about it that way. He didn't think twice about what his family said. He apologized for their reaction and explained that his comment about the brand was nothing more than what it seemed. He had never heard of the brand, that's all. He said he loved it and was just caught up in the craziness of Christmas, which is why he hadn't played it yet. It eased my mind a lot. I guess I'm just used to over-the-top reactions in my family. I think I'm still disappointed after a month's worth of excitement building was slashed pretty quickly, but at the end of the day, knowing he likes it makes their opinion mean a lot less.